while we weren't sure Masters of the Universe Classics was going to be able to last beyond the original 6 figures, part of the dream I had as the marketing manager was to be able to reach out and do all of the original figures as well as concept figures, meaning figures based on early prototypes and early artwork for the brand. And we were very successful with this. We've even seen Masterverse use this in New Eternia. One of the characters we did was based on this sketch of He-Man, or possibly Conan, see the video linked at the end of this, and turned that into an action figure that could be sold as a legitimate character. And that was kind of the whole point of having these concept characters get names. It wasn't just, Ralph McQuarrie version of Han Solo. This was now Vicor, a legitimate character who could then be sold as consumer product and ideally put into content. And guess what? Shockingly, that happened. Characters that were put into classics as original characters, although based on existing art, Vicor here wound up in Masters of the Universe Revelation, which was pretty cool. Now, the other concept, He-Man, the character that existed from the original mini-comics, was someone we wanted to get into the line from day one. This was something that I knew couldn't be offered in year 1 or even year 2, but it was kind of on the, can we get to him one day? And on the master rollout list that I created in the first year of the brand, which I think stretched out 7 or 8 years, this character was there. He was always part of it, but he was sort of put out there as kind of a marker. Can we get to this figure? Now, whether or not you want to look at this as He-Man and Prince Adam, that's totally legit. But if you read the original comics, this character is clearly not Prince Adam. So again, much like Vicor, we wanted to make him an original character. And the idea was he would be connected to Prince Adam. I get that this guy kind of looks like Tarzan. And anytime you've got a guy in a loincloth, and screaming out. In fact, that's actually where the name came from, Oolar. It was kind of a spoof off of Tarzan's jungle yell, like, oh, ooh, like he's from the jungle. He's, ooh, jungle warrior. That's where the name Oolar came from. What can I say? I made it up. So getting this figure from day one is actually because of this image right here of Oolar, or the original concept He-Man, getting his armor, his axe, and his shield from the Green Goddess. You'll notice in the Green Goddess figure that we released in the first year, she comes with these accessories, the shield, the axe, and the harness. Because back in the original mini-comics, the harness is what gave He-Man his powers. He was going to wear different harnesses and get different superpowers. Oolar deliberately doesn't come with these. He doesn't come with the shield, the axe, or the armor because the ones that came with the goddess were meant for him. That was literally purposefully done with Green Goddess, knowing that one day we might be able to get to an Oolar figure if enough fans support the line and it goes long enough, and he will literally be the counterpoint to her figure. We also used this version to release a new head for He-Man. We mainly used the same head, although we had a sort of 2000 XE version, and since this was going to have more of a jungle head like the mini-comics, it was an opportunity to put a second He-Man head that was going to be a match for the original toy. I'm not sure why we never did this from day one, honestly. I think the Horsemen wanted to create an original version of He-Man, but when it became obvious that this was really connected to the vintage line, the opportunity to finally do a head that was sculpted based on a one-off, or to look like the original toy, as opposed to an original interpretation of He-Man, which is what the original classics figured out. So you could swap this around, and even though, it's obviously more detailed than the original head, like everything in classics, it made for a really dynamic opportunity to update existing figures. And of course, Oolar had, lots of original parts, including a loincloth without the belt and his feet without the boots, which, I think he might be one of the first figures to have feet and no boots. I think we had to tool up new ankles, unless I'm forgetting about someone else who had that. So, this was a character, but we did kind of make a mistake. Not a huge mistake, and it was an oops that we were able to correct pretty quickly. You see, much like other He-Man characters, Oolar was supposed to come with an axe. And unfortunately, due to literally human error, the axe was dropped when he showed up in his package. I turned to the operations manager, and I was like, where's his axe? He was like, oh, was that for Oolar? We thought that was for Huntara, which was the next figure. It was literally a mix-up. They thought the team that was doing the production, because Oolar and Huntara got sent to the vendor at the same time, it was assumed that this axe was for Huntara because she only came with 2 other accessories, and Oolar already had a sword and a staff and an extra head. So while the axe was meant to go with Oolar to be his weapon, it didn't ship in the package. But because it was costed in already with Huntara, the next figure, well, it meant you were going to be able to eventually arm him up with the axe, or if you wanted to keep it with Huntara, that was perfectly fine, but it was meant for Oolar, not Huntara. But a lot of people kept it with her because it came with her. You know, hey, that's one of the cool things about running a online brand is you can do things like that. If you make a mistake, you can simply just have an accessory come with the next figure that was meant for the one before. It was a weird mistake, but hey, I don't think it caused too much pain, and people were mostly excited, I think, just to get this Oolar figure and finally have a mini comics He-Man. And if you wanted to call him mini comics He-Man, that was great. You didn't have to call him Oolar. He could absolutely just be mini comic He-Man. But again, the reason that we gave him an original name, an original bio, and made him not Prince Adam was simply to help populate with more characters and make this character sellable. And ideally work for content. And you even saw that again, picked up in Revelation, where the savage He-Man, when Adam tries to transform, I think, without the sword. Is that what happened? I don't know. I was taking a lot of acid while I was watching this show. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely say that this is influenced by the mini comic He-Man just the way Oolar is. Is this meant to be Oolar? I mean, in the show, it's Prince Adam transformed without the sword. But, you know, it definitely has that more savage look, and you can definitely see in the loincloth there's similarities. But again, what really excited me about doing this figure was that long-term payoff. When we had the goddess come with Oolar's weapons and harness, we had no idea if we were going to get to him and if this was just going to be a one-off. But it turned out they were a perfect match. Sometimes plans come together.